Trading the foreign exchange market carries high risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Trading on margin, utilizing leverage can carry an even higher level of risk that can lead to a complete loss of investment funds. So before deciding to trade the foreign exchange market or using any of our software alert products, you should carefully and diligently consider your personal investment objectives, level of experience, and risk tolerance. There is a possibility that you could potentially sustain significant loss. You should not invest any capital or trade that you cannot afford to lose. It is your responsibility to be aware of and understand all risks associated with foreign exchange trading and to seek professional advice from an independent certified financial advisor if you have any doubts. Auvoria Prime does not exercise trading authority over your trades. You and you alone exercise discretionary trading authority over every trade.
So welcome, Auvorians, to the Tuesday, May 25th midweek software strategy session. My name is Steve Vetterl, CMA of the firm, trying to keep you guys safe. So if we could do, please, a check on seeing screen okay, volume, all my sound. Hopefully everything is coming across pretty clear. Thank you for that. Welcome. I know we have a whole bunch of new subscribers. Do keep in mind housekeeping, I should say. The Stratomus launch has been delayed. There are new versions of Variable, the chat for Variable, and Neo, which has been doing quite well, by the way. Pretty lively. So if you guys don't already subscribe to the chat channels, it's actually some good information in there. I think I appreciate the fact that, as I've mentioned to many of the developers, try and keep it on topic, right? If you guys see anybody, as we've certainly seen in a couple of these chat rooms, putting in links to scam stuff or anything like that, just go ahead and report that to somebody, and or we'll kick them out, as we've blown out a few people trying to keep the room clean. And a lot of the different chats we have. So I appreciate everybody's, keeping it on topic and talking about important stuff. Do keep in mind that still most of the questions I see in a lot of these chat rooms, the questions could very easily be answered if the individual had taken the time to go into the AP office live and or listen to some of the developers' calls, my calls, or all of that in the aggregate, which is what I suggest. So spread the word on that. We can't be lazy when it comes to trading. So as I had mentioned on Saturday, talked a little bit more in depth than I usually do about crypto, but let's just cover some of the stuff going on. So Tuesday, and I haven't, honestly, guys, I've been so tied up trying to get this whole moved in the family in the Florida, our new business starting, and I haven't even looked at much of this stuff. So we'll be looking at this live together here when I switch over to the screens. But looking at policy statements, the stuff's all passed essentially, other than GDP on Thursday. And keep in mind this specific time right here. So these times will be adjusted for whatever your particular time zone is when you go to Forex Factor. Make sure you look at the adjustment up here. We don't really have a lot of news for the rest of the week, so no surprise. It's a holiday in the US. It's one of the big ones that kicks off summer for a lot of our overseas subs. It's a huge weekend. It's a weekend where a lot of pools open up on the East Coast, and as a kid, I always loved this weekend because you're frozen for a good chunk of the year in Philadelphia. For the year, and they'd open up the pools, and it'd be cool. And it starts the beginning of the summer, and it's summer all year round out here in California, but I kind of miss a change of the season. So in any case, for all you Philadelphia fans out there, today was an absolute fantastic week, by the way. If you're an Eagles fan, we signed Devontae Smith, Heisman Trophy winner last year from Alabama. Guy is phenomenal. Moving on to the charts. You know what? I'm actually going to take, since a lot of questions I got were along the theme of risk management. So I'm actually going to post this I think this is a really good, I've posted this before many times, but I think we should just keep this circulating. How to hook up your MyFX book. A lot of times when a Auvorian subscriber will send me an email, if they're looking for me to do a deeper dive into what went on in some of the accounts. And I got to tell you, it really is very positive. They haven't really got any emails, which is cool. So that means maybe we're all doing our jobs. But the key is just always try and hook it up to MyFX book, get the 2 check marks, like you guys see here on This is my FX book for Neo on a real account. You can see these two green check marks right here are what you're looking for. Maybe kind of a pain to get that done. But the key thing there really is you want the two green check marks with that. In concert with that, maybe not as important. I thought this was a really good comprehensive guide. I'll post this in the chat window as well if you want to see these two links on just understanding MT4. It's a bit dated, but MT4 hasn't changed dramatically. A lot of the MT4, which is MetaTrader, software company overseas, they're trying to get everybody to migrate to MT5, which is probably just an absolute monumental task. So let's move into the markets. Start off with daily charts on everything. These are the Qs, NASDAQ index. By the way, for those interested, Vimo went public today. So if you want to take a look at them, they're like the corporate version of YouTube. This is not a solicitation to buy or sell. The company's been in business for 16 years. I have no idea what the hell their numbers are. I haven't even looked. So I'll take a peek at that when I get a chance. S&P, again, upper range. We've got the sign squeeze zone indicators keeping us tight in this for those out there in equity land, which I think everybody should always want to expand out into stock and or stock option land as far as the next step in your journey as a trader. Let's see, dollar 89.72. Notice we're took a little bit of a peek underneath this area. We haven't seen this area in a while. So if you look across, the last time we touched this area was the 8th of January. So we've seen more than a quarter go by the DXY index. And now, as I had been talking many, many months about this, once the reversal took place, we're probably going to see a break of this whole 89 area. It's essentially just the 89 area. It's a fairly broad zone. We're probably going to break, thus leading to strength in almost all other major currencies, right? So if we look over Euro US, right, again, we break this line, we break the line on the previous charts. I really wouldn't be, in the case of the Euro, accepting any trades if you have MAV versions of this. So looking at the move that more than likely will take place in an extended rip, or what I call a zipper, just an absolute liftoff, probably once we trade above this area for maybe a day or two, possibly a couple days, and then just boom, we're probably going to see a huge rip above it. GBP USD, it's probably the same thing. Again, right here, as I talked about on Saturday's call, 42.30-ish area. Keep a close eye on that as well. Let's take a look at the CAD. Again, this one's a little more dramatic in relation to the moves, you know. The dollar falling all the way down. Go to a weekly chart to see what's going on after this. 20 area. It's the edge of the cliff. Talked about that a lot on Saturday. It's really just keep in mind, if we go below this, would not be interested in this pair and accepting a lot of longs that were shot to me for trade notifications. Not there yet. USD JPY has been in a tight zone. Let's go back to the daily. Been in a tight zone after a pretty decent rip up after a long trend down, trend up. Same thing, stuck in a much tighter range. Now, obviously, I would assume this is one of the few currencies that the dollar has been strong against generally as far as trend this year. I don't have any idea where this is headed. I really don't. I mean, I just can't see this continuing to go up if the dollar just crashed through some of these lower levels. But who knows? I mean, Japanese monetary and banking systems in a lot worse shape than many countries. Here's Swiss. Okay, so again, looking similar daily chart. Still have in a trend down move, still looking probably to get down to this whole like 87, 80-ish 87, 60-ish area. Wouldn't have problem accepting trades on both sides of this, just because technically we're still in a larger basing pattern, especially if you look at the weekly chart on this. See, we're still essentially basing between all these different levels. So we could go up and continue to just auction higher and lower in terms of price. Let's see. John, if you take the video for that, how to connect the Forex My FX book, just watch the whole video. I don't know if you're joining us late. It's actually a really good video. It's how to hook it up. So continuing on the majors, Australian, let's jump back to daily. Still a zone on the upper part of the range here. Not really seeing much playing out there. Let me know if you guys want me to take a look at any currencies here. There's Singapore dollar, by the way, guys. I know I don't really address this much, but you can see we're in a very broad range on the daily. Big range, 3478-ish, all the way down to 3200 area, right? We break through this, just looking at the weekly on this one, break through this 32, basically the 3200 area here. Our next support zone is way down there at the 3100 area. We'll more than likely make a fairly protracted move into that should we break. But notice things have calmed down after the rip and subsequent drop that took place on this. So a little more of a calm period of time, which is good, and means price can auction back and forth between different support and resistance levels, and that allows the software to be able to do better. Gold for those trading. Let's go to the daily first. Continuing the lift off as I expected. This was a pretty decent cup with handle or double bottom, however you want to look at it. You can see the cup main portion of the chart size, and then the small handle, little dip. That's what you want to see. And then the subsequent rip. The gold's lifting off. I'm expecting this whole zone to be the next stop. When, how long, for what period of time we may stop and balance or base or do some sort of auctioning back and forth into this area. But ultimately 2,500 in is the price goal for this. Don't think we're going to see it this summer, but much more interested in being long of this in any software that's shooting either automated or manual versions of trade notifications related to this. At some point, I would imagine we're going to spend some time balancing out, maybe just up underneath this 1950 levels. It's certainly possible. Anywhere in this area, we could spend time balancing out, right? Or maybe have even a little bit of a pullback, just because you still have a ton of naysayers in gold globally. All right. You can always look at GDX, by the way. This is the Van Eck vectors for the miners. Sometimes you can get some clues as to where things are going. Typically, this is the tail that is wagged by this dog. Just keep that in mind with the miners' relationship in terms of correlation. All right, so let's take a quick peek into crypto. So, I think with this whole oversupply area I've been talking about for months now, I just would not have wanted to get long. And remember, the vast majority out there in any kind of fintech or social media or trading based platforms that are supposed experts in this weren't warning you of the 50% decline that was coming, I'll bet, right? So the ones that were are the ones that were either short or they're truly interested in giving some quality advice, which is very rare. very few and far between outside of yours truly, because I am not long or short of this. And the key is having unbiased analysis of it, of which I try to bring that, even if I'm getting crushed, which I certainly had problems with in individual stocks over the last 2 decades. Um, I found that the more I talked about this, was just one of the big reasons I got in selfishly to the educational space 10 years ago, outside of just my own trading, because I thought, and I found a dramatic improvement in my overall analysis or the acumen thereof, and or my win rates. A lot of the trading I did when I talked about it a lot more publicly, doing webinars, stuff like that. So it served a dual purpose in helping educate those that are just wanting to get or be a sponge in these areas of investing. But it also helped me selfishly to improve my overall performance. That is, it's almost like being, you're trying a case, right? It's a big time attorney, and you do like mock trials with your, folks inside, your partners in your law firm. It's kind of the same thing. Get a better shot when you're in front of the camera here real time. So looking at crypto, I still see this maybe making another test down to this area. The problem is with most chartists, especially the ones looking at this from a daily perspective, this is one of those times where I would drop back to a 4-hour, maybe even back to an individual hour. I just want to see how these patterns are developing. So hourly, we've dropped and hit this 32-ish area now twice. Or some would argue this is the double bottom and that we're going higher, right? But notice subsequently on all of the lift, volume isn't necessarily increasing dramatically, right? So would argue that on this drop, it was some pretty good dip buying that took place just based on volume right here. But notice as you just come back, volume continues to drop on these lifts, and then volume spikes on the drops. Okay. So those are little clues as to what's going on as far as the order flow. So just drop it back to a 4-hour though. Looks to me that weak hands are still getting sold off because of the leverage they may be using. And the other thing that I think somewhat spooking this is that, and honestly, I got to say I'm a little confused here because I thought Bitcoin was all about decentralization, right? Now, many are cheering the creation of a governing council with centralized mining protocols. I mean, come on, what the hell's that? I mean, is it centralized? Is it decentralized? Right? So I think there's some real issues popping up with this in terms of just the global community of miners or, politicians, stuff like that. Every time the currency drops, and in some cases significantly, you have, many politicians globally, especially from a central bank standpoint, will come out and say, see what we told you, right? This is why we don't want to implement this into any main currency. But I don't know, it just seems like there's too many institutional hands out there that are really trying to just pound retail and become bag holders. And I don't want you guys to get caught up in that. So for those out there that were part of that 12% survey, that I forget who that big dog in crypto is on Twitter, he's got like 5 or 6 million followers. Almost 12% of people that answered his survey had every dime they had invested in crypto, whether it be Bitcoin, Ethereum, some other, right? It's just absolutely ludicrous, right? Everything you have, 12% of the survey, everything they had was in crypto. Lack of risk management. So here's Ethereum. Again, same thing. It's looking to me like a dead cat bounce on both of these. I don't even know that the buy point's right here anymore. I think it's going to be lower. And a lot of people will say, well, you're really waiting for things to get completely bombed out. Yes, I am. Because many of these cryptos have taken 90% or more haircuts more than a few times in their life, right? And then maybe that is a generational low. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the damn thing, goes even lower. But I would be willing to dip toes in If we were about a third less than where we were on all these, even though we've taken huge hits. All right, so that's pretty much it for what I wanted to discuss in crypto. Notice the Coinbase, another dead cat bounce going on here. I did surprise to see there was roadblocks breakout though. This was probably viable if we get back down here and this holds. But the problem I have with Roblox is that this platform is as fabulous as it is, the price and the valuation of which the stock came public at for the 2 questions I just got on it, I still think it is really rich. So I'd love to see maybe another test of the 64 area again. We may not see it. You know, you have a lot of the breakout crowd that's cheering, patting themselves on the back, right? But if we have a big old correction like we're going to see in equities later this year, I certainly think we could see the 60 area on this. So if you guys got any questions, feel free to send me an email or ask the question on any of these coming up. I do thank everybody for attending today. I ask everyone to be kind, spread the word. Have a great week. May the trades be with you. And become a Philadelphia Eagles fan. I highly recommend it.